Once upon a time in a small village in Nigeria, there was a clever spider named Ananse. Ananse loved to think of himself as the smartest creature in the whole world. One day, he decided he wanted to gather all the wisdom in the world and keep it for himself. If I can have all the wisdom, I will be the wisest and everyone will have to come to me for advice, he thought. Ananse starts his search for wisdom in his village. He visits the young Tunde who gives him a riddle to solve. Ananse then seeks Ireti, the oldest woman in the village who shares wise stories about their ancestors' past. Finally, he approached Baba Olumide, the village elder who teaches him that wisdom cannot be owned but shared. Ananse went around the village and the nearby forest, collecting bits of wisdom from all the animals and people he met. He learned how the birds built their nests, how the fish swam so quickly, and how the farmers knew when to plant their crops. Each time he learned something new, he put it into his special pot, which he carried with him everywhere. But Ananse was worried. What if someone tries to steal my pot of wisdom, he thought. So, he decided to hide it in the tallest tree in the forest. The tree was so tall that no one would ever think to look there. Ananse was relieved that his pot of wisdom would be safe in the tree. Ananse tried to climb the tree with the pot of wisdom tied around his neck, but it was very difficult. As he climbed, the pot kept getting in the way, knocking against the branches and making it hard for him to move. He struggled and struggled, but he couldn't get very far. Ananse's son, Tunde, was watching him from below. Tunde was a clever boy and loved to help his father, even though Ananse often didn't appreciate it. Seeing his father struggle, Tunde called out, "Father, why don't you tie the pot to your back instead of your neck? That way, it won't get in your way while you climb." With Tunde's suggestion, Ananse tied the pot to his back, finding it easier to climb the tree and retrieve the wisdom he sought, learning a lesson in humility and the wisdom of youth. Ananse paused and thought about it. At first, he didn't want to take advice from his son because he wanted to be the wisest. But then he realized Tunde was right. So, he untied the pot from his neck and secured it to his back. Climbing the tree was much easier now, and soon he was at the top, hiding the pot safely in the tallest branches. As Ananse climbed down, he thought about what had happened. If Tunde had not given me his wisdom, I would still be struggling, he said to himself. Maybe it is not wise to keep all the wisdom to myself. Just then, Ananse heard a noise from the bushes below. His curiosity got the better of him, and he stopped to listen closely. As Ananse listened closely, he heard a small voice whispering, "Ananse, Ananse, why do you try to keep all the wisdom for yourself?" Peering through the leaves, he saw it was his friend, Ireti, the wise old tortoise. Ireti slowly emerged from the bushes and looked up at Ananse with knowing eyes. "Wisdom is meant to be shared, my friend," she said gently. "When you share wisdom, it grows and helps everyone, including yourself." Ananse thought about Ireti's words. He knew she was right, but he was still reluctant to let go of his precious pot. "But if I share the wisdom, I won't be the smartest anymore," he replied. Ireti smiled kindly. "Being wise isn't about having all the knowledge, Ananse. It's about using what you know to help others and make the world a better place. Tunde already showed you that by giving you his advice." Ananse sighed. He knew Ireti was right. Slowly, he climbed back up the tree and retrieved the pot of wisdom. When he returned to the ground, he held the pot out to Ireti. "What should I do, Ireti?" The wise tortoise placed a gentle hand on the pot. "Call the villagers together and share what you have learned. Let everyone benefit from the wisdom you have gathered." Ananse nodded and called Tunde to help him. Together, they went back to the village and invited everyone to gather in the center. Soon, the villagers were assembled, curious to see what Ananse had to say. With Tunde by his side, Ananse opened the pot of wisdom and began to share everything he had learned. He told the villagers about the birds and their nests, the fish and their swift swimming, and the farmers and their planting season. The villagers listened intently, grateful for the knowledge. As Ananse shared more and more, he felt a warm glow in his heart. He realized that Ireti was right. Sharing wisdom made him feel even wiser and happier than before. The villagers thanked Ananse and Tunde. Everyone went back to their homes, feeling enriched by the new knowledge they had gained. Ananse turned to Tunde and smiled. "Thank you, my son. You taught me the greatest lesson of all." Tunde grinned back. "Wisdom is best when shared, father." Just then, a loud rustling came from the edge of the village. Ananse and Tunde turned to see who or what it could be. Emerging from the bushes was an old man with a long, flowing beard and a kind face. He carried a walking stick and wore a robe that shimmered in the sunlight. "Greetings, Ananse and Tunde," said the old man in a deep, gentle voice. "I am Baba Olumide, the guardian of ancient stories and wisdom. I have traveled far to see the one who has gathered all the wisdom into a single pot." Ananse bowed respectfully. "Welcome, Baba Olumide. It is an honor to meet you. I have indeed collected much wisdom, but I have learned that it is better to share it than to keep it all for myself." Baba Olumide smiled warmly. "You have learned a valuable lesson, Ananse. But there is still much more to discover. Wisdom is not just about knowledge, it is also about understanding and compassion. Would you and Tunde like to accompany me on a journey to learn even more?" Tunde's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Yes, father, let's go. There is so much more to learn and share with our village." Ananse nodded. "We would be honored, Baba Olumide. Where shall we go first?" Baba Olumide pointed his walking stick towards the horizon. "We shall begin our journey in the land of the talking trees, where the trees whisper secrets of the past and future. They will teach you the importance of listening and patience." Ananse, Tunde, and Baba Olumide set off on their journey. As they walked, Baba Olumide shared many stories and pieces of wisdom with them. Ananse felt his heart swell with gratitude for this opportunity to learn even more and to become truly wise. They reached the edge of the forest. The trees seemed to come alive. Their leaves rustled and whispered in the wind, creating a gentle melody. Baba Olumide raised his hand, signaling for silence. "Listen carefully," he said. "The trees have much to teach us." Ananse and Tunde stood still, straining to hear the whispers. Slowly, they began to make out words and phrases. The trees spoke of the importance of roots and connections, of growing tall but staying grounded, and of the cycles of nature that bring life and renewal. Tunde was the first to speak. "Father, I think the trees are telling us that wisdom is like a tree. It grows and spreads its branches, but it must always remember its roots." Ananse nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, my son. We must always remember where we come from and stay connected to our community, even as we grow in knowledge." Baba Olumide smiled proudly at them both. "You are learning well, my friends. Let us rest here for the night and continue our journey in the morning. There are many more lessons to learn and adventures to be had." As they settled down to rest under the whispering trees, Ananse felt a sense of peace and purpose. He knew that this journey would make him truly wise and that he would return to his village with even more wisdom to share. But their adventure was just beginning. In the distance, a mysterious light flickered, hinting at the next challenge they would face. As they rested under the whispering trees, Ananse, Tunde, and Baba Olumide gazed at the mysterious light flickering in the distance. Curiosity piqued, they decided to investigate it in the morning. The next day, they set off towards the light, their hearts filled with anticipation. After a few hours of walking, they arrived at a glimmering lake, where the mysterious light was dancing on the water surface. In the middle of the lake stood a magnificent tree with golden leaves, shimmering and glowing. Baba Olumide explained, "This is the Tree of Enlightenment. It holds the deeper secrets and wisdom of the world." To reach the tree, they needed to cross the lake. Ananse noticed a path of stepping stones leading to the tree. "We must be careful," he said. "Each step must be taken with thought and care." Tunde went first, stepping carefully from stone to stone. Ananse followed, and finally, Baba Olumide. When they reached the tree, its golden leaves began to whisper ancient secrets, filling their minds with profound understanding. The tree spoke of kindness, humility, and the importance of sharing knowledge for the greater good. Ananse felt overwhelmed by the wisdom he received and realized that true wisdom comes not from hoarding knowledge but from sharing it generously and using it to help others. With this newfound understanding, they began their journey back to the village. Ananse, Tunde, and Baba Olumide were eager to share what they had learned. The villagers gathered once again, and Ananse spoke with a voice filled with newfound wisdom and humility. He told them about the Tree of Enlightenment and the lessons it taught. True wisdom, Ananse said, is not about keeping knowledge to ourselves. It is about using what we know to make the world a better place. We must be kind, humble, and always willing to share our wisdom with others. The villagers nodded in agreement, and from that day on, the village became a place where knowledge was freely shared, and everyone worked together to solve problems and help each other. Ananse became known not just for his cleverness but for his kindness and generosity. And so, the moral of the story is, true wisdom lies not in hoarding knowledge, but in sharing it and using it to help others.